First and foremost, thank you all very much for coming. When we first started meeting about hosting here, let's turn this off. It is off, never mind. It's going to be a fan going. When we first started meeting here, they're like, how many people should we expect? About 25. I was like, all right, I've got 37 seats. I think we're going to be great. So I'm going to try to keep this short because I tend to be long-winded for all of those of you standing this morning. But my name is Trevino. I'm the owner of Gorilla Cinema Presents. We own several bars and restaurants here in the city. We also design immersive brand pop-ups for liquor brands, lifestyle brands, all over the United States and hopefully the globe one day. But today we're going to be talking about Reverie. But before we get into that, I think it's important that we build some trust together. So what I would love to do is I want to prove two unique theories, but in order for me to do this, we need to have some trust. So this is going to be really trusting for the people that are standing. I need everyone to close their eyes. Keep them closed. No peeking. Don't want you to ruin the surprise. This is also just a really good way for me to eat up speaking time as well. No peeking. Open your eyes. Can't. I tend to walk, so I can't go too far away from the camera. How long was that?
A minute.
How long was that?
30 seconds.
How long was that? 60 seconds. Anybody else feel anything different? No? 2 minutes? Okay. What is that? 22 seconds. I like that. I like that. It's a good Taylor Swift one. I appreciate the reference. It was 45 seconds. What this is to prove to you is that, one, we all experience time very differently. Some of you that might be sitting too close to somebody that probably felt a lot longer than somebody maybe with a little bit more arm distance to somebody. It is very important that we know that in our industry, because I get a lot of people that will come to the bar and be like, I've been waiting 10 minutes! When I know they've been waiting a minute. So when we talk about Reverie, it's important to think about time and how time affects us all in different ways. So when we have those moments when we let the peripherals kind of fade away and we start to feel time a little bit differently, you know, that is all going to affect us different. And also that it fills up as much space as you want it to. It fills up 2 minutes. It fills up 60 seconds. It fills up 22 seconds. Wherever that time and that peripheral is, that is where you go. And all right, whose mind went completely blank during that time? Anyone just phased it out, just went completely black? You're the best, man. I wish I could be like you. We're all a room full of creative people, and so I would assume that anytime you have that silence, your brain has a need to feel it, or at least my brain has a need to fill it and start painting a picture. And now I'm going to take you on a story time. So I'm hacking my way through the jungles of Peru, just like hack, clearing brush, jumping through, wading through high waters. There's danger about that. I know that there's velociraptors, a whole pack of them, just waiting to ambush me before I get to this hidden temple that I've been searching for, that I followed so many maps, so many various clues to get to. Finally, I reach the temple, and I find the idol that I've been looking for, and I grab it, and as I grab it, a booby trap goes off, and I sprint towards the exit, just barely making it out. Then I realize I'm 8 years old. I'm in my backyard. And this is kind of where it all began. Is when we're very young and we're children, the reverie happens a lot because we're influenced by different things. We're influenced by movies and books and the comics, and reverie becomes interesting and because you allow yourself your reverie time to play. Being honest, like, I didn't have a lot of friends as a kid. Weird kid. Weird adult, Shakes. I'm sure some of you guys were maybe in the same boat as me. But we allow ourselves to escape. And then slowly but surely, we might get to middle school or high school. And there are places that try to dumb your reverie down. And say, all right, it's math time now. Here's a Jane Austen book, follow that story. And for some of that stuff, it is good because it expands your mind in different places. And for some of us, it dulls it. And imagination and reverie to me, is the older that I get, I've realized it is a muscle. It is a muscle that you continuously have to cultivate and use. And the problem with a lot of our industry is eventually we have to make a small economy out of our imagination. That somebody has a deadline that we have to meet for our imagination, for our creative goods. So our reverie starts as this thing of it's play, it's fun. Let's go on an adventure. Let's imagine what's over that hill, what's behind that door, and all of a sudden it becomes for us work. So for us, and for particularly myself at Guerrilla Cinema, how do we continue to develop that play-like nature with our imaginations? How do we allow ourselves to talk about ideas and to talk about things that we have no intention of bringing to life, that are impossible? And even maybe not impossible, but just seem like fun. So with that today, you guys are in for a treat, because we have gone to the archives, and you're going to see some never before seen concept art for concepts that we just didn't come up with, and I'm going to walk you through some of our processes for that stuff. Not to say that they won't come to life in the future. One of them's kind of problematic now, but we'll get to there. Not in a bad way, but it's a way that, again, I just don't think the audience would have some issues with, It's not racist or anything. So for that being said, again, Guerrilla Cinema has been around. Next year we will celebrate our 10-year anniversary. We started as a just movie pop-up company, throwing up a movie screen in a parking lot, creating an outdoor kitchen, pairing cocktails and food to whatever movies we were showing. We opened our first bar, the Overlook Lodge, based off Stephen King's The Shining in 2016. So yeah. And from there, we opened Video Archive, which became Tiki Tiki Bang Bang, Tokyo Kitty downtown, Lonely Pine Steakhouse, Cosmic Gorilla, and I know I'm missing one because I always miss one. But again, along the way, we would sit in meetings, and after our third bar, people would pull me into meetings, and they would be like, "Here's a space. What you got?" So I got very good at the habit of just pitching random bar ideas and just pitching things that again, were coming into mind. And I think it's very hard because, Reverie, you want to be original. A lot of us want to be original, but it's so hard when you get inspired and you're so influenced by other things. I think it's good to show your love and your influence for other things, but as we continue to grow, how are we creating our own imagination? How are we creating our own Star Wars? So I think that is the muscle part of the Reverie. Is that this first concept I'm going to show you? I'll show you the problematic one first. Hello. There we go. Otto's Garage. Nope, we went too far. Yeah. It's a time delay. Think about it.
There we go. There you go.
There you go. All right, don't touch it.
Use the force.
Okay. What would it be like to be backstage at Aerosmith? What would it like to be on the road with Bon Jovi? That was the conceit of Otto's Garage. It's very hair metal, 1980s pool hall that we wanted to develop in OTR. This was probably circa 2018 that we were kind of pitching this idea around. And again, it really never got off the page. Like it became one of those things. It became a story that we told amongst the company. It became this thing that we just kind of kept pitching around and driving around. And then eventually it kind of went to go die on a shelf somewhere. And for us, it became kind of a hallmark. This was kind of the first one that we did where it was okay to let go. It was, all right, like we kind of shopped it around a bit. We were all very passionate about it. We thought there might be an audience for it. But at the end of the day, we just could move on to something else. And so again, it really started to become the hallmark of the things that we would do, which is just starting to create things that had no real chance of becoming something. It just became more of thought experiments and ideas and things like that. And things bled into other things, which was kind of this other concept called the Clover Supper Club. This was based off 1960s famous supper clubs throughout the United States. And this was actually going to be, I get pitched this all the time, we have an old movie theater. Come build something in our old movie theater. Build a movie, and I'm like, if you've been to the movies lately, you know how rough that is. So we're like, what if we did a venue that had that hallmark of like that 1960s cinema feel, that 1950s, but it was a supper club where people could come in and share. It was family-sized portions. It was things like that, rather than one-on-one. And how can we create this kind of gathering place that was kind of influenced by these things? Again, when we started running budgets, you're like, all right, do I have $4 million to go do this idea? Because we had also developed a system where there was going to be a back venue area that we were going to rent out for like weddings and concerts and things like that. So restaurant in the front, private event space in the back, and we imagined the worst thing about going to any venue for any event is sometimes you're not the right size, as we can see here. And so how could we adjust the venue? So we saw as like one of those factory warehouse cranes. We're like, what if we attached the walls so that we could move it in and out depending on what type of event was happening. All extremely creative, all like very much beyond the scope of what we could do, but we didn't get hung up on it. It becomes peripheral thing. It becomes something again that we can kind of move to the side. COVID was a really big time for us in terms of our creative drive. Mostly because there was no failure at that point. We had already failed. Like we were shut down. Like we could not have this many people. So we started telling smaller stories. We started telling stories where we could do 10 people at a time. So we really kind of started pulling our Reverie ideas and started doing things that, again, we weren't even sure we're going to work, but they were interesting stories to tell. And so for us, it has always been kind of one of those things where, how do we still want to play? How do we wake up every morning and still want to be creative, even if it goes nowhere, even if it's a dead-end road? That's a hard thing, because we all have bills to pay, I'm sure. We all have people that count on us for, again, that deadline that's coming up, where we have to be creative there. We have to drive customers to our shop. So we need to increase our creativity. So you gotta work that muscle. And it can get tiring. Sometimes I've just been like, what am I doing? Where are we going? I think that's part of it too. Which kind of leads us to our next thing. I want to talk a little bit about what Guerrilla Cinema is working on next, because I think it is going to impact every single person in this room. We are launching a pop-up next month called Spiritual Machine. It is an AI-influenced bar experience. So we have turned over our creativeness to several AI apps. We have basically said we want the machine to develop the perfect guest experience. Because that is the other thing that you run into with Reverie and imagination, is your imagination is different than your imagination is different than your imagination. There are only so many flavor profiles on this back bar that you will find pleasing. Eventually we kind of run out of that calculation for humans. So again, when we talk about imagination in our thing, how do we maybe use AI to increase the amount that we can produce of imagination? That we're using these as tools so that we can streamline and get more ideas out of the page. Or again, for us, is how do we tailor our imagination so that it's a little bit more in line with your imagination? Everyone has an expectation when they come into this bar, and I don't know what it is. It's like a play. I can set everything up and I can yell action, and then the people come in, they'll be like, I hate that play. I hate these drinks. I hate that bartender. So with the AI, we say, okay, let's see if we can tailor something close to perfection. Because that seems what people on Yelp want. They want every single thing to be perfect. And that's the interesting thing about imagination and perfection is, okay, if we try to give the audience what they want in terms of perfection, do you lose the soul? Do you lose, that is the biggest thing. I deal in food and beverage. And you can ask Jeff Ruby down the street, if you go into his restaurant and your steak is cooked wrong, you're upset because you're paying $300 for a steak. So with our imagination, it's a little bit more nuanced to say, okay, how do we embrace new ideas and how do we keep pushing boundaries when, again, the audience is going to continue to judge us, and can we use AI to maybe get more insight on our guests? Can we kind of align our imagination with their imagination? Can we put systems in place that allow us to produce more with less resources? And what is the cost of doing that? And it's going to be a very interesting experiment where we say, okay, AI, what should the lights be set at? What should the playlist be? Because all humans, again, I created a little 10-minute playlist based off songs I like this morning. Probably not the best one. But again, that is the dynamics, and that's a weird thing. And maybe that is the difference between us and everything else is again, you respond certainly to certain RPMs. You respond a certain way to certain lighting. You respond a certain way to the temperature of your drink. You respond a certain way to how something is salted or seasoned or tastes. I can't affect that biology. So why not give those things to the calculator, to the machine? And maybe that allows me to focus on the imagination part of it a little bit more. Maybe that allows me to focus on the reverie of it. But I don't know. So that is the question, and as the imagination is, and also, does the machine imagine? Can the machine imagine? Is that the difference? Take you back in time. Come on. Video archive was our second concept that we did up in Walnut Hills. It was a Tarantino-inspired speakeasy. And it was the first time that I think I could draw the line from the Reverie to the creation. Saw a family video store in Cleveland. And I'm just driving by. Thought, what if there was a barn? And then you just let it go. And then it was the first time that I can remember, when we did Overlook, it was more kind of, we wanted to do a craft cocktail bar. That wasn't the driver. Video archive was the first time that I can remember that the imagination drove the concept. It drove what we were going to do next. And from there, we've kind of allowed that to be our philosophy since then. Is allow the story and the idea to drive the concept rather than the monetary value of it, which my investors hate. But for us, it's always going to be about that storytelling. It's always going to be about trying to bring it to life. And again, with all the things that we're working on, all of our creative deadlines, again, allow yourself to go back. You can remember what it was like 8 years old, playing in the backyard. Find that moment. Allow yourself to explore that moment, because you'll never know where it might lead. It might lead you here standing in front of 60-some people, and just being grateful for the opportunity to do this. So thank you guys very much, and I'll take some questions if anybody has any questions. Yeah. So that is the very interesting question. So based on the experiments that we've already done, the AI can create a cocktail for you. The cocktail is fine. Like so far, the AI has not created a cocktail that we're like, oh my god. So I think that in lies the thing is. It's hard to tell because what I think is fine and you think is great are two different things. As noted by like the 50,000 people lining up for Taylor Swift merch yesterday, is again, I think where the AI comes in is more optimization of space, optimization of time, and finding your audience. I think for business people, in particular bar and restaurants, they have this bad habit of thinking that everyone is their audience. But I can tell you, and you can see by this room, if 300 people show up here at the same time, 200 of them are going to have the worst time ever. Probably all 300 of them are not going to have a great time. So I think when we talk about mediocre and fine and perfection, I think it is about finding the points that all humans find intolerable. Waiting, incorrect things, unsatisfactory service. The way we kind of came up with the AI thing, can I cuss on this, or like is it going to be like weird? Yeah. So the way I kind of came up with the AI thing was I read this story. And the story was I was at a restaurant, and I was taking my daughter to the bathroom, and I walked in the bathroom, and there was a man in the middle of the room shitting on the floor. So I went to the first employee I saw, and I said, there's a man in this bathroom shitting on the floor. And the employee looks at me and goes, I make $2 an hour. Please tell me just what to do. And I thought, yeah, sometimes we've all been there, that we want just guidance. And again, you know, hey, ChatGPT, it's a man shitting on the floor. How do I respond to this situation? So that's initially where the idea kind of came from. Was I thought, wouldn't that be interesting for every server just to have an iPad, so that when you have a question, they have an answer. And I think that's more the future. Again, also that we showed this in the first part, the time thing. I know that if I don't get you an appetizer in under 11 minutes, you're going to start to wonder where it is. I know that if I don't deliver your entrees in under 30 minutes, no matter if you order a 42-ounce ribeye well done, you will wonder where it is. That humans have this weird grasp of time. And so what we're hoping with the AI is to say, okay, how robotic can you make it? And then what does that do to the experience? It's really a fascinating experiment to see. Again, if I try to give you exactly what you want, but there is no flaw. It is hollow. And it is. I've delivered on every metric. The drink was good, maybe not great. The food was good, maybe not great, but cooked the way you want it. It arrived at the time and everything. Is there a hollowness to that? And is it the imperfections of going to a crowded bar, going to a restaurant, and there's that question mark of you don't know what's going to happen? Is that the excitement of all of this? Or is it better if we give you exactly what you want, when you want, how you want it, and the only thing that we have control over is the space, essentially. But even that, we're seeing that the AI can kind of start developing bar space and kind of develop interesting concepts, so.
How will you know what their experiences were? How will you get that feedback?
You're gonna make me give away my tricks? All right, so this is like magician, like the magician revealed. So if I tell you this, I hope that you guys do not share this information with other people, because it kind of ruins a little bit of the trick. So we are, and again, there are so many different factors. I think the biggest question for us was, can this be done? What does this feel like when I am back here at the bar and I'm looking at stopwatches? When I'm back here at the bar and I am typing into ChatGPT, or reading a script. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for coming today. I hope that you are having a good day. What does that feel like if I hit all the notes perfectly and it still fails? It feels weird, So I think that's it. Is there are things that people say they want, and then if you give them what they want, is it still enough? Or again, service is weird, man. I don't know what's going on in your day when you walk into that. When you come to me, I don't know if you just got divorced that day, if somebody died, your boss told you suck, or you're having the best day of your life. I get people at very random intervals that affect their perception of us.
Well, and that individual changes when they enter an environment, not just the environment you've created, but the people who are there with them.
100%. Yeah, we've all been to that concert where the person next to us
or the person next to you is so excited that it takes you out of your funky space.
So that's what we've been trying to do, at least with the AI, is keep it as small as possible. So it's not for 20 people; it's 6 at a time, so we can kind of control as much of the variable as possible. We'll see what happens. Again, it's a long journey.
So what are you going to do with the data that you've collected at the end? Are you going to ever release that publicly and say this is what we found?
Yeah, we'll probably do a presentation. There's a bar and restaurant expo in Las Vegas that typically I get invited to speak to. So I think that's kind of my talk for this year. But we're also keeping lots of notes and data and stuff like that because, again, I think that, AI creativity, we've all seen like the shitty videos of it trying to show someone eating or like, there's tons of stuff out there that would be like, it will never hit the creative end. And you're probably right. And again, you'll use it as a calculator, use it as a tool to do something that you don't really want to do, to write quick copy, to do some quick, concept art so that you don't have to spend, 5 days doing it. That, okay, all right, and then do we like this? All right, let's move on to the next thing. Then we're going to talk about efficiencies. It is 100% coming from my industry. If you haven't been to a McDonald's in the past 10 years, everything is narrowing. You're never going to lose the human element, but 40% of my industry is going away because of just inefficiencies, because of staffing, because of these things. So that is the big reason why we're doing this is, one, what does this world look like? Two, it's coming. Period.
The follow-up, will the people involved ever find out the results of the experiment?
Maybe I don't know. Typically no, right? That's the point of an experiment. I gave too much away. I've already ruined it by telling this room full of people that there's a control group.
Are you giving the AI any kind of guidance on like what kind of art or what kind of vibe?
So we give it a ton of data. So that is essentially where the AI is at now. Is we are the AI can make decisions for you after you tell it to make a decision for you.
Right.
So we provide as much data, narrative data, as possible. This is the space, this is the seating, this is and then there are easy things to say like, hey, set the temperature for this room, like it's 90 degrees outside, what is a comfortable temperature? And a lot of those things is just pulling data from other things. The interesting things that we're having to do is Cocktail 2 has just happened for this experience. What's something surprising that we can do for the guest?
But are you saying anything to like adjectives like I would make the best cozy bar or the best?
Yeah, and we give it, so it is going to be in our Lonely Pine space. So I try not to use cozy. I try to give descriptors that are, this is a 1960s, mid-century modern space. I try to give it, there are 2 TVs here, there are 6 bar stools. How far should these bar stools be seen apart? The bar is this long. I'm giving it that data, but I'm trying not to influence cozy.
Right.
One of the things that we do a lot is we'll say, make a cocktail. Make this cocktail more interesting. Make this recipe now even more interesting. And we'll use words like that, interesting. Or make this something that complements this flavor in the cocktail and seeing what happens. So that is more what we're doing, rather than. Yep.
I think it's very interesting you're sort of working with an AI situation that's not, I think, what people expect when you say it's coming for your industry. When we walk into a McDonald's, we don't expect it to be saying, change the temperature, this is very different. Did you work with the AI on the idea at all, or is it more you have the idea and you're using the AI? Because I know it wouldn't be as cool, but you could say, I have a space, what do I do with it? And the AI would say, put a bar in it. But it's,
So the AI can kind of do that. It's not going to, most of the chat right now, it tries not to make definitive statements for you. It tries not to be like, you should do this. It never says should. So I don't think it's there yet. And again, we are influencing it a lot. It is still a brand new tool, but I can tell you, from the second somebody put it in my hand, it was like the first time somebody put a calculator in my hand. I was like, oh my God, this is going to, again, it's never probably going to replace the bartender, but it is going to streamline their whole process. You will always have that one element of human interaction, but what happened to the other 3? Like that's the question that we're trying to grapple with is, can we build a process that is so efficient of getting people in and out and in and out? Like, because again, that's what the economy dictates that I do, right? That I'm looking for inefficiencies in my creativity to maximize my profit.
Speaking more generally, what do you see the role of AI in the restaurant business as being? Like McDonald's is a perfect example, because McDonald's was designed around the concept of efficiency, cracking burgers, cracking people through quickly. So, like, do you see it being used to do things like designing kitchen layouts for maximum efficiency?
Yes. So there's already tools out there that are already doing that, where you can basically take your blueprint and start plugging in, and it'll make adjustments. It'll also say there's also restaurant design programs out there that you can be like, put 100 people in the space, and it will populate it with 100 people and be like they're gonna be standing on top of tables, you know. So there's already systems out there that already do that. For me, there's a lot of specialty in our industry. So your chef, if I have an AI camera over my grill top that can analyze the temperature of each steak so that a steak is never cooked wrong, that's great. If I can have the AI know my historical sales data, weather data, traffic patterns, so that, you know, because we crystal ball it a lot. So we can say, okay, make my schedule based on the historical data for this year. Where does it cut the person? Where does it say, okay, you are overstaffed here, so you don't need that? I'll tell you, that is, my product is my cheapest expense in a bar. My people are 100%. My biggest expense, I spend anywhere from 30 to 40% of my revenue on people. And so it's kind of one of those things where I'm not going to be the first person to do this. It's coming. Like that is the big thing, is you can ignore that it's going to eliminate jobs, or you can say, all right, how can we prepare for this? And how can we prepare our people for this? And so that I can start designing systems and things that also benefit the people that I already have. So if I can build smarter things now with the people I already have, so that 5 years from now I don't have to eliminate a person and all my people are trained up and all this stuff, then that is a good thing. But I think to stick your head in the sand and say like, well, you know, but the McDonald's and I mean the Olive Gardens and those big corporations, I mean they don't. I don't want to say I don't give a fuck about their people, but they are way more data and metric and profit driven, and they will find any way to one, make sure that you're happy. But again, if the human element is the pinch point, and again, jump on Google, jump on Yelp, typically people are complaining about service. So again, if we can optimize the service, so the server, and again, it's human biology, and I hate to say that it's against that, but if we can tell that a table is having an intimate conversation from an AI, to be like, don't go talk to them right now. They seem like they're having an intimate conversation. Like, or again, you act like this is like, but again, if the camera is pointed at your table and your menus are down, it flags the server, you should go talk to them now. Wow. It's been this amount of time, their app needs to be out. You should probably go talk to them. Like those are the types of tools that are very easy right now. Just as there's an AI system out there right now that analyzes when people walk to the bar. So the screen's behind the bar, and it highlights the next person the bartender should serve. That person's been waiting longer. That person's been waiting longer. So that the bartender is not guessing who to serve next. That already exists. That is not science fiction. That they're using it in London bars right now. Don't want to end this on a downer note. I want to end this on a positive note to say we're all creative people. That the future for a lot of us for so many years has been very kind of scary. I think it's going to be a big, bright, beautiful tomorrow. I think that we're going to be able to use tools in ways that we didn't know. I think there's going to be less stress, and there will be more room for creative ideas in the future. I think we're not learning how to replace humans. We're learning to give them better tools so to be more efficient. whether or not we take care of each other after that is really on us, you know. And that's it. But I'm excited. So I think do we have any more time left, or I think. Oh, we got a couple more. Yeah, I'll try not to answer. Anybody got like a fun question?
What was problematic about the big hair rock concept? Maybe it's just me.
Yeah. I think that era is highly evocative of misogyny in the music business, and so I think there would be some people that would frown upon it. I think there is like there's a callback era and stuff like that. And I think for us it became a little bit too niche and like backwards looking, and I think we've tried to do things that are forward looking. Even though my next project is also back to like it's a mid-century thing, so I don't know. But for us, I think it was just kind of one of those things where, I think that's the hard thing too, and this is probably a hard thing for you guys. I just turned 39 on Wednesday, and I don't know how much I have left in this industry because I have to constantly create for 21 and 25-year-olds. and I'm afraid that when I hit 60, 65, that all of my ideas will be very stale at that point. So I think when we talk about efficiencies and creativity, I think that's where my mind is too, is like, oh shit, I'm on the clock. I got 15 years left of possible, but again, different industry. Again, like if you look again, your heavy users are people 25 to 35. After that, probably don't go to the bar as much after 35. You probably don't go to the restaurant as much. You probably are at home. You probably have kids. You probably have responsibilities. You probably have other things. So we're always chasing an audience, and that is never going to change. That is unfortunately the hard economics of my industry. Is where's my relativity in all of it, and where's the relativity in all of our creations? And I think that's why, again, when we get back to the main point of Reverie, again, like how are we continuing to use that muscle, and maybe use that muscle in new ways, and again, really start to try to maybe put ourselves in an uncomfortable moments of Reverie where we're thinking about things that are different, scary, or, again, put ourselves in other people's shoes or experiencing new things. I think, go to a bar you've never been to. Go to a restaurant you've never been to. Those are always great. Go see a movie you would never see. Those are always good parts to see, and again, try to kickstart that muscle. We went to a concert the other night. It was the loudest concert I've ever been to in my life. Literally, the bass dropped, and I was afraid my intestines were going to But it sparked a fun idea, and we after the show we started talking about it. And again, am I ever going to do it? No, but it was fun for that moment to have somebody else's art, somebody else's thing, spark something new.
So, I guess this could apply either to what you found specifically this concept you're working on, or the industry as a whole. Do you think the move towards AI will, or as it's integrated, eliminate more of the negative and not necessarily add to the positive? For example, if I go out and there's a waitress that's super chatty and we become best friends, I love that. It's such a great experience. Friends with this person now. My husband being more of an introvert, oh my god, why didn't you talk? So it eliminates more of those kinds of things. It's like, especially when it's seen online, it's often more negative. It's saying, oh, we know people don't like this, but we're not using it.
I think you're going to see it again. There's always going to be the dive bar with the guy that's been bartending for forever. And that they're not going towards AI. That's not happening. But again, your high-end experiences, things like that, where there's a lot of that type of stuff. I don't know, again, if you're going to lose the chattiness, but I think, again, everything is going to be kind of on rails a little bit more. So I think that there's the question of, is there room for improvisation in that server moment, if that, and again, like this will actually come down to the owners, the bosses, and the CEOs. How are they tracking server metrics? Are they tracking how long was that server at your table? Hey man, because we've had this, like I've had some chatty bartenders and servers that have worked for me, where I'm like, they need to stop talking to the table. They have other tables, like or they're the bartender, like I'm helping them now make drinks because they've been stuck at a table for 20 minutes, and that's it. And again, it'd be like one thing if it was one time, but we used to have this guy that always would like get to a table and he would legit be there for 10 minutes minimum, every single table. And again, it slows down. Those types of things, yeah, that people might have had a great time, but the whole team suffered because they then we slowed everything down. And again, does that interaction make the people come back more, or because he was ignoring other tables, then the other two tables got pissed off or whatever, or again, somebody on the team quit because they felt like they're always picking up for this guy. So those are again abstract questions that that we'll find some weird balance to in the future.
Or I guess a better example would be that if you're at a cocktail bar, something that's new and novel, people are going to have a strong reaction to it all. But it could be strong positive or strong negative.
Yeah.
Trying to eliminate the negative and make you just have these drinks are ones that the majority of people like.
Well, I think here's the interesting thing, because we could probably do this right now. I could serve you a drink on our menu, and we could pull up ChatGPT or whatever. I could load my menu into ChatGPT, and you could say, I don't like this drink. And I could say, why don't you like this drink? And you would tell me, I don't like it because of this. Okay, she doesn't like this cocktail because of this. What would you recommend for this? So, I think it's really going to affect wine service. To be like, I think that this wine is too acidic. Okay, what other wine on our list is less acidic that might have a similar body? Okay, boom. So I think it's, again, that takes a server years to develop. Where if we're implanting that information now, anybody can do that job, unfortunately.
I would turn that around, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best experiences my wife and I ever had at a bar was just right over here. At Jack's, actually. The owner, my wife wanted a cocktail, had no idea what she wanted. And the owner came over and said, well, what flavor, what do you like? And talked to her for 2 minutes, went away, produced a custom cocktail, and my wife loved it.
Yeah.
That seems like the sort of thing that maybe it could do something.
AI can 100% do that right now. I'll tell you, I know who that owner is, Molly Wellman.
Yeah, sure.
So, again, Molly Wellman has spent 40 years developing that skill. The problem that we're having now, and the problem that we have, is we have major attrition in our industry during COVID. So now I don't have 100 Molly Wellmans. There's not 100 of me. There were 100 of me. Those people are doing real estate now or something else. I don't know. We're going to answer that. So we have a lot of people now that are 2 years into it, 3 years, 6 months. I can't explain that to the guests coming in. You went to Japs. You go into Japs now. Molly doesn't know Japs. Somebody else does. You walk in now, you're not going to have that same experience. You'll have, and again, you have somebody that has probably been in the industry a year now. How do you give them the tools so that you still have a comparable experience? Again, that's the name of the game. Again, you try to find the moments of specialness with the guest. That's why McDonald's is so successful. Is you walk in a McDonald's on the planet and you get the same food. That again. You want consistency. You say you want individuality. You want consistency. You want to know that when you go back to Japs, that if your wife is like, man, I love that cocktail. Guess what? Molly's not there. Probably doesn't even could your wife tell what was in that cocktail from that day? No. You know what we could do? Keep a log. Hey, when was your last visit? What? All right. Do you kind of remember? And now we've got files of cocktails that the AI can just keep to say, all right, they visited on this day. We made them this. Here it is for in perpetuity. All right.
Do you see as you go along being more transparent about what you're doing or more forthcoming? So using your example of making the perfect steak in the back of the room using AI,
No.
Would you feel like you would be?
No. No, I think there is wanting to deliver perfection, and then there's letting people know how the sausage is made. You know, I think that for 90% of people that again come and you're spending a lot of money on a meal, you know, it's like more of like a 70-30 split. You just want that meal to show up, and like you're more engaged with the people that you're with, and you want the food to be good. You don't care the process or who's behind that. It's only been in the last 15 years that we have cared who the fuck made our food. Like, you know, there was before, you know, it was like bam. It was like Emerald. Before that, you have Julia Child. Like nobody cared who the chef was. We're getting back to that point. Like it is all cyclical. The only reason that again you care about who cooks your food, who makes your drinks, and who the personalities are is because of Food Network, because of Anthony Bourdain. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing for us because then you guys think I'm a celebrity or something, you know? Because I can make a drink. But yeah, that is, I would say that a majority of the audience, the only reason they care about who's cooking it is because of the people that have paved that way. But you know, if you go back, like again, I grew up like eating it Outback. Like nobody cared. Like, you know, you just care the bread was hot.
But you're naming your concept spiritual machine, so you are giving them perhaps a hint of what you're doing.
I am. Yes.
You're just not. You don't want to give them the details. You want to give them the
Yeah.
vision.
Yes. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate this.